Recording in progress.
Hey guys,
Hello, hello.
welcome back to the Mai and John podcast.
Yes.
And I feel like by now this is our fourth episode. Some of you might be watching this and do not know who's Mai and John, so I want to do a quick introduction about ourselves and our podcast. If I may speak on behalf of both of us for now. No? Okay. So we are we're serial entrepreneurs. We are co-founders of Short Stays International, which is a short-term rental property management company. I am a certified life coach, and together we are married and raising a family of two young kids, one's 4 and one's 8. So I feel like we have a lot of stories to tell from all of our journey, building businesses together, working together, raising children together.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why we started this podcast as well too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a fair warning, this is just our opinions and our experiences that we're sharing. So we are definitely not here to offend anybody. And this is completely off the cuff, and it's a pop the trunk type of conversation. So we're just sharing our viewpoints, and hopefully you get some good information from it.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good thing that you said that.
Yeah.
When we talk about a specific topic, we're not saying that we are, professionals in that topic. For example, we might be talking about, marriage, parenting, and it might touch on some sensitive topics. But I believe that these are important topics we should talk about. Yeah. However, if you're stuck or you're going through some challenges and you need to seek professional advice, feel free to do that. Not to us, not from us, right? But just we hope that by us sharing and being very candid about all the things in our life, it can also shed some light into yours. And perhaps it can also inspire other people to share more of their stories, right?
Absolutely.
You might find a lot of similarities in what we share compared to
what
your
we're sharing is just it's our experience, and what works for us may not work for some people. It may not work for anybody, but it works for us, and we're always open to suggestions and advices as well. So feel free to comment or
So February being the month of love, I feel like it's pretty...
Is it the month of love?
Well, I say it's a month of love. It's also my birthday month, which is, I'm full of love.
Yes. And then you do, it also is, it's Black History Month. It's, what else it happens in February? It's the shortest month of the year.
It is the shortest month of the year. And in Canada, it's also when Family Day falls into as well too, right? So, I mean, to me, Valentine is just one day. I mean, but it is a kind of like a symbol for us to remember about love, even though, I mean, it is commercialized, but that's okay.
But Valentine's Day did just happen, so it's definitely on the top of our minds, and something that just happened, recently. So
actually,
it's a good topic to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to talk about that topic because I know we had some troubles in the past in terms of for me and this day, more so that I feel that this day sometimes can bring up certain emotions. And I think they come from, now that I reflect back, certain expectations. I have good memories of Valentine's Day, and then I also remember maybe a year where maybe I was expecting something from you, like bring me flowers or gifts, and that didn't happen.
Yes.
So I think I got moody.
Yes, expectations are definitely a funny thing when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
So managing them is extremely important. So sorry, you were going. Continue on with your point.
No, and so I was just curious too. Maybe we could talk about like in terms of what comes up for us that day as a wife or a husband or as a partner,
Sure.
right? So I'm curious when you think about Valentine's Day, when you were younger and you had a girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually like buy gifts and flowers or do things on that day, like a special day?
Off the top of my head, I think I've only had one serious relationship that I can remember, maybe two that I can remember, who I went above and beyond and celebrated Valentine's Day by getting them, whatever, chocolate, flowers, teddy bear, whatever it was. It was so long ago. So it was not something that for me I celebrated, like crazy. I feel like in our experience, it was a lot of something that the females looked forward to more than some guys or most guys.
So why did you do that? Why did you give your ex-girlfriend like flowers and gifts or chocolates back then?
It was just purely to please the expectations of our peers, and I mean the one I can think of, it was just in high school, and it was just to satisfy and to make myself look like I was this guy that was super romantic, and so it was a way of me showing everybody else, not necessarily her, but everybody else, that I'm somebody who appreciates this holiday. And
okay, so
excuse me, and look at me now.
So how do you feel about it now, though, in general?
Well, funny that you ask. I've been waiting to have this conversation, because I've told you this story before. Valentine's was not really something that I celebrate or enjoy. I feel like Valentine's Day is it's a holiday that is completely consumerized, and it's something that I feel like retailers and fashion companies and anybody with a product that can market to sell something is they use Valentine's Day to increase and pump sales. Like, I used to work in the flower industry. So this is one story that I'll share with you. And in this flower industry, there's this whole area in Mississauga, and it's like the flower district, and all the wholesalers import flowers to this area. And I had this job with a couple of friends that I got, and I remember working one particular Valentine's Day where I used to sell flowers, so I would sell them to little flower shops, and I would deliver them on the weekends. So we would spend all week talking to the flower shop owners, trying to get them to place their orders. We would get our order in they would usually deliver our flowers at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and then we would spend the morning unloading, and then all Saturday afternoon and night delivering flowers to the local flower shops. So one particular flower shop, a couple doors down, needed some extra help, and they asked me for my help because I had this big van at the time. And so I said, okay, I'll do some work with you. And they set up this delivery route. So this is a flower shop in Mississauga. They set up this delivery route that was basically delivering flowers from typically, husbands or boyfriends to deliver flowers to their wives at their workplaces and homes, and et cetera, et cetera. So they set up this route where I had to drive from Mississauga. I had to pick up flowers in Etobicoke. I had to pick up some more flowers downtown Toronto. This is like the middle of the day. I didn't get started until like 10 o'clock in the morning. And then they wanted me to drive up to through downtown, a bunch of stops through downtown, all the way up to Markham, to Richmond Hill, and then back. I had about 20 stops, and I don't know if you know, like, I mean, if you've never driven downtown Toronto in the busy city, you can't park anywhere for one. And so
Yeah.
to pick up flowers and to deliver flowers to office buildings, like I'm talking like the 40th and 50th floor of like the CIBC towers, like right on, I think it's King Street and University.
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere to park, and I'm delivering flowers. So, mind you, my point being was that it took a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at about 2:00 in the morning getting a call from the owner, and I was still not back to the flower shop yet because I wasn't done my deliveries yet.
Wow.
I got through, I think, I don't remember the number, but I got through maybe about half of them. And from about 8 p.m. until 2 a.m. when I was trying to deliver these flowers, I just kept getting yelled at by these angry men about why the delivery didn't get made. And then I got back, and the owner just said, whatever, drop off the rest of whatever you haven't delivered, and come see me in the morning about your pay. He decided that it was because I didn't fulfill all the orders that I wouldn't get paid for it. So anyway, I ended up having probably it seems, now that I think of it, wasn't that bad, but it was a horrible experience at the time. Not getting paid, spending a whole day delivering flowers, getting yelled at, and ever since then, I really did not like or appreciate the Valentine's holiday.
Okay.
So I've shared that with you before. You probably forgot, but so your expectations for flowers.
Okay, that makes total sense now. But that's terrible.
Yeah.
What kind of a business owner? You're a young, guy who's working hard and doesn't even like pay them for at least the time that they put in, even though they didn't finish.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, he probably didn't make much money either because, he had all these deliveries all over the GTA and that didn't get delivered. So,
I guess that's where, well, this is kind of off topic, but it sounds to me like it wasn't planned well. Like,
no, not at
run a
all.
business,
Like why?
you
Yeah.
do not expect to be delivering like that.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that's
it's
the
not
GTA.
something like I was delivering regularly to these
Yeah.
to these clients. It's, I believe that the owner just took a bunch of these orders and he asked me to help last minute because it was none of his regular customers or regular routes or but he wanted me to kind of take over these extra ones because he knew he couldn't do it himself.
Gotcha. So he was
I
trying.
was
He was
set up
trying to
for
do.
failure.
Yeah, basically, he's trying to do something to make a quick buck in the short run, but it didn't really work out. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. So for me, flowers, Valentine's Day.
I got myself those flowers, okay?
With my credit card in my hands that purchased them, yes.
Yes, I said
Yes, you
that's
got your
what
flowers.
I want, okay? Get me them. Oh man, I remember you talking about you working for the flower shop, but I don't remember the story about you not being paid on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's okay. It's
you're-
long gone now.
Yes, for sure. It's in the past.
So you
I've
can start
definitely forgotten about that experience.
So you can start a new routine, a new hobby, right?
But you seem to love Valentine's Day. No matter what, we could be broken down to our last penny, but it's important to you to go out for Valentine's Day, and on Valentine's Day, it's really important to you. And where does that come about?
I wouldn't say it's important to me. I don't think it has to be on the day off. But what I think about Valentine's or any holiday or birthday, here's the thing. I think sometimes it's easy for us to sit and say, it's consumerism and it's all this stuff. And that's fine if it's something you practice every day. For example, what I mean is that if we tell each other we love each other, if we're always, every week, we're going on a date night And occasionally, once in a couple of months, you buy me flowers. Then it's not such a big deal after all, right?
sure.
However, I feel even in the society that we live in, the reason why it becomes more big and big is because every day everyone's so busy. Everyone's so busy in their world, working, and sometimes it takes these holidays to be reminded that, hey, it's family day. Family day should be every weekend. Every Sunday you should spend family. But sometimes it takes that reminder to make sure that you put in just a little bit extra effort to make sure that you spend time with the family. And so with Love Day, sometimes it's just in the atmosphere, in the fun of it. It's just like the Lunar New Year.
So I mean, we come from a business and entrepreneurial background, right?
Yeah.
When we met, we were doing sales.
Yeah.
And we would do purely 100% commission.
Yes.
Right? And that was motivating for us.
Yeah.
Motivating more for you because you were really good at sales. Me, I was okay, so I wasn't quite as motivated. But I was, it was enough to make a living. But anyways, my question is, if every week you're celebrating family, and you're spending time regularly with the family and your loved one, and maybe not every week we're going on dates, but we go on dates, often enough or regular enough.
Yeah.
And the dates might be just the two of us, or the dates might be in a group setting where we're just away from the kids or what have you. But we spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time as a family together, and we spend a lot of time with the kids together and doing our things. If you are going a little bit over an extra on Valentine's Day, should there not be a little over an extra reward for somebody who does extra? Being somebody who comes from a very result-based, like our business, if we work harder at it, we generate more leads, which equals more profits.
Yeah.
In Valentine's Day, if you're going the extra mile and getting extra efforts, what should be the extra reward then?
I wouldn't. So would you consider? I wouldn't say dressing up and going out to eat is extra work. I feel like that is something I want to do anyways, naturally. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Because these,
I think you're missing the point, but okay, go on.
Maybe I am.
Yeah, totally. I just went over your head. Anyways, go on.
Oh, so what's the reward?
No, yeah, just where's the extra? If the extra effort is being put out, why is there not extra reward being received?
Well, so what's the reward?
I don't know.
What's the reward for you?
This
then?
is not that type of show that we talk about those things.
Rewards for you or for me?
Well, where's my flowers?
Those are for us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But seriously, like I feel like when it comes, I think a part of it too is I like a good event.
Okay.
I think growing up, I don't know if the world is, I don't have a problem. I don't have to be like different. I mean, like if the world is celebrating something, I kind of feel maybe it's a FOMO effect, but I kind of feel like I want to celebrate too. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't need to be like, oh, they're all celebrating that, so I'm anti that. Because for me, why not? And I was getting back is I find a lot of these places and establishments, because they do commercialize on these special events, they do go out of their way to do a little bit more. So let's say if we went on a regular day, they wouldn't put up like a nice Valentine backdrop. They wouldn't decorate it a certain way. Just like if you just go out regularly versus during the Christmas holiday, you don't have that Christmas feel. So for me, it's just having that experience, that feel. Because if I don't do it on those days, those establishments, they don't set up things like that. And so for me, it's
That's
to
a little
get
bit-
that feel.
That's the effort, the extra effort that these businesses are putting in. I will say though, I am kind of teasing you, but I will say though that this year we got to go celebrate Valentine's Day, and we went for lunch.
Yeah.
Because we definitely want to avoid those Valentine's dinner
Yeah.
rush where
Yeah.
you're fighting for a time to eat, and I mean, for us, we don't have any extra babysitters, so it's not like
Yeah.
we really want to be celebrating Valentine's with the kids too. We love them to death, but so we went out for lunch, and we got to. You had found this cute
It's like an inn. It's called
restaurant.
Yeah.
Or well, it's a boutique hotel with a nice restaurant inside. It was the Stone Mill or something like that.
Yeah, it's in the Stone Mill Inn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
What's the restaurant called again?
it's
I
like
didn't
the
even remember
Flower Scratch Kitchen or something like that. I can't
Okay.
even remember.
But I guess I was just trying to say that it was a really the ambiance in that place was incredible. It was this like exposed brick, and they had flowers set up everywhere. They had what was it, cherry blossoms?
Yeah.
Well, they were fake, but a really nice setting and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
we drank mimosas, which we almost
Never
do.
Yeah.
And we had brunch. It was
Yeah.
nice. It was really nice.
It just forces us to try a new experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, like for me, I don't mind
Yeah.
that. And so I just don't want to do anything. And honestly, I'm not doing it because everybody's doing it, nor do I want to do something because I want to be different either. So, however, I'm like, you know what? People are putting in the effort, making things looks nice for this holiday. I'm gonna take advantage of it and enjoy that experience. But I mean, so we really got into the story of Valentine's Day, but I think it brings up a more important topic of love, right? I think love, I feel, is one of those things where we throw around that word a lot, and you say to people, oh, I love you, but truly, what is love? Like, I feel like from a young age, that's a big question for me. What is love? Is it love? And there's so many different type of love. There's the love for your parents, there's a love in a relationship, there's a love for your children. And so I want to talk a bit more about love in relationship today. I mean, we can talk about love in family members and things like that. But when it comes to relationship, I feel when we were younger, there's this whole ideal around falling in love at first sight, or meeting your princess or Prince Charming or your queen, like whatever it is. And I remember when I was a teenager, like feeling, oh, one day I'm going to, meet someone I will be, madly in love with. And now that I'm married in a relationship with children, I look back and I feel how kind of naive that was.
Yeah.
And how like as a young female, how those ideas and thoughts are put into our head.
Yeah.
Through like media and
Disney.
all of this.
It's all Disney and their princes and their princesses and their kings and their queens.
Yeah, and so I want to talk about that, because you figure, is love enough? Like, meaning like you meet someone, you fall in love with them, and then the next step for a lot of people in our generations, I don't know about this generation, the younger generation, but in our generations, the next step is to get married and to have a family together. Yet we do know a lot of our friends, as well as based on statistics, a lot of people who said they love each other kind of get together, married, and then decide to get a divorce. So then what happened? Like, what?
Well, I don't know. Those are your friends. My friends are all happily married.
Oh, yeah? Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
It's all your friends.
We're going to be like that now.
Yep.
Because, okay, so then maybe we can talk about, if you can look into that. Maybe we can talk about what we feel is working in our relationship, and to us what that love is and why we feel certain relationships, it's not like that love wasn't enough. Because I feel like there's still love in a lot of couples that kind of like decided to separate. I can't speak for them, but let's talk about for
absolutely.
us. You know, what's love for you then? I'm gonna put you on the spot. For you.
I wasn't expecting this. What is love? That's a good question. You're gonna have to probably get back to me on that, because I don't have an answer. It's like love is like it's many things.
But okay, so then going back to when we first met each other, were you expecting to marry someone that you kind of fall in love love at first sight with?
Yeah, I guess I was a little naive myself. I remember having sort of a general idea of what the person I was going to fall in love with would look like.
I'm curious, what is that person?
Well, I mean,
we can be honest.
Can we though? Can we?
I think we can.
I think culturally, I always pictured myself ending up with somebody who was from the same or similar cultures. So there was that.
Okay.
I had never dated somebody Vietnamese before. So I guess I was naive in thinking that, like, when I first met you, that like
we were similar.
Well, I wasn't. I don't know if I just didn't really know any Vietnamese females that I was like attracted to. You know, and there wasn't a big population, of Vietnamese in my high school or in my area growing up. I actually didn't really know. I only had, I think, one or two Vietnamese friends growing up. Who, one or two that I was close with, and then they had their, group of Vietnamese friends and stuff like that I was exposed to. But yeah, so I always thought that I would end up with marrying a Filipina, but I think a lot of that got sort of messed up because of having a Filipino store and Filipino restaurant that I was exposed to so many Filipinos that everybody knew me, like, or my family in the community, and it was just like, no, I can't date in that community. Everybody knows too much, and everybody knows too much about my family, and my reputation just got around. But anyway, so I always thought that I would end up marrying a Filipina, and when we first met, I can't say there was like a whole ton of there was chemistry as friends. We've always managed to have really good conversations. But when we first met and started working together, it was not like,
Yeah, it wasn't like, ooh, I'm so...
Yeah, that's like, I'm falling head over heels. It was not, you were attractive, but,
It was more...
I think you just, were like, I didn't see you that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, same here. It's interesting because growing up too, I envisioned myself being Vietnamese, marrying also a Vietnamese guy. Mind you, I watched a lot of, back then it was Hong Kong movies, and now it's all about Korean dramas. So of course in my head I'm imagining this, tall, handsome, fair skin. Yes. Long hair. like a Hong Kong, or those
clean
Korean
shaven.
Yeah, and but there was something about them that seems a little bit too soft for me as well too. Like I like a certain like masculine type of individuals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go on.
And there was something about them that I like, but it's just because that's all I know and that's all I was exposed to, right? Now, I have dated Vietnamese as well too. And mind you, same thing, I was very involved in my own community, and I feel like a lot of the Vietnamese guys I know, like, it's just everybody, we all kind of know each other. We're either friends, and also because I was such a scholar, and I think it's instilled in my head, I also wanted to make sure I wait until university where I would meet someone that is highly educated, and in my mind I'm like, I want to marry like a doctor, right? That was kind of like my ideal of a successful guy, right? Like who's completed university, got a good degree, is a doctor. But the thing is, what happened is mind you, this is again us with our limited exposures, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
The ones that I did end up meeting were just not fun. They're very boring, and they're always so high on themselves, not very down to earth. I'm sure there's a lot of doctors out there who are down to earth, just not the one that I met. And then there just seems to be something about them that I feel wasn't clicking either. So it was, for me, I kind of like after a while decide, I'm just gonna give up on this, and I'm just gonna meet guys who I can date and get to know, but better be friends, because it's hard like to get into a relation. I had a relationship, but my first serious relationship in university, and that was really heartbreaking for me. I'm sure you heard. I share you the story.
Oh, yeah.
And so after that, I just feel like, okay, what is this love? Like for me, when I'm growing up, I think it's all about the first person I meet, I fall in love with, I'm going to marry. Because if they fall in love, if you love someone, what would make you leave that person? There's no reason. For me, love is, I guess I'm also very loyal. So which means that once I find something that I love in that person, what could possibly go wrong? Unless I find out they're like a serial killer or something like that. Like, what could possibly go wrong for me to decide I don't want to be with this person? So I couldn't get it when people break up. I was like, why? How could you love and then you break up? Like, it's hard to find someone you love, but once you love. Now, for me, it was even harder because my first relationship, the guy dumped me. It wasn't me who decided to move on, right? So he said, he doesn't think I truly know what love is and why I am in the relationship. And because I don't know what love is, and because I don't truly love him, it's unfair that he's in the relationship. So it's weird. It's like someone telling you that I know you don't know what that is, and that is why I'm not going to be with you. And in your head, you're like, how can you tell me how I feel? Like, I feel I love you. But he's like, I think it's more you love the idea of being in love. And so for me, I was like, okay. And so it was hard, right? It's hard to swallow when someone says, it's almost like,
it's like all your fault.
Yeah, it's all your fault. Or it's like, imagine you're like, I don't think you want to be in a married, I don't think you want to be married. You just like the idea of being married, but you don't want to be married. And hence, I'm just going to kind of like take off and leave, right?
Well, like thinking back and looking back now, do you feel like that was like his real reason, that's how he felt, or was that sort of his cop out of like, he's in an unhappy relationship or unhappy with the relationship?
Yeah, I feel like
that's kind of his way out.
Well, he's still around, so I guess I could ask him. But you know what? I'm just kidding. I feel honestly that there was something that he's unhappy about the relationship, right? And whether it's myself or it's just the way it's going, and so it's easy to say, well, and he doesn't know himself either.
So it was a matter of probably just unrealistic, well, maybe not unrealistic expectations, but his expectations of what he thought the relationship would give him or would bring him or would do for him, and because it didn't fulfill that.
I assume, because it's hard to kind of like get into someone who have decided that this is not for them to truly understand when you don't see it that way. Right. But then what I've learned is the part of loving someone too is if you truly love someone, and then back then I started to say, if you truly love someone, you almost kind of like can't force them either. You have to kind of like let it go. You have to learn to let go. So if this person you said, oh, you care about, they don't think that you should be in a relationship and it's time to end, then you want to let it go. You know, at the end of the day, you might want to fight, but it's very different when you're just boyfriend and girlfriend. Right? Versus when you're married and when you have children, that takes it to a different level as well too. But anyway, so going back to that story, so for a long time I was doubting myself. I was like, do I really know what love is? Maybe I don't. Who knows, right? I don't know if many people do know what that is, but all I know is that for me, love means like I care about this person, but maybe I was naive. Maybe I'm young. Maybe I wasn't even ready for a relationship yet. Maybe I'm not willing to give up certain part of myself to be in the relationship of what that person expects me to be. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it was good actually, because it allowed me to have a time for me to build my own confidence, for me to start to, that's when I started getting into the practice of mindfulness. That's when I start off, I mean, that's a different story. That's when I started, you know, being concerned more about, you know, the way I look, just different things. But most importantly, that was when I said, you know what? I have experienced a relationship, and I've experienced what I feel like puppy love is like. And now that I've been through it, I understand that there's more to life than that. I understand that I cannot find love in someone else. I have to find love in myself. I need to be fully confident. I need to be happy with who I am. And another thing that I realized, I need to cherish the relationship I have with my friends. Like I said, I feel friendships are so key. You know, they're with or without your lover, they're always going to be there. The good ones, the true friends, the good ones, that is. And so for me, friendship is a huge thing, and I've always worked on that, on maintaining the relationship with my friends. Anyway, so going back, so then when we met each other, honestly, I mean, I'm always open. Like, I love to be in a relationship because I grew up as an only child. So I feel lonely at times. And to me, being in a relationship is just like having, you know, a best friend with benefits. Right? Yes. So, I mean, I have lots of girlfriends that I love and they're amazing, but I am not, you know, I'm not attracted to girls in that way, right? And so for me, it's like, okay. So it's nice to have a friend who's a guy, but you can also, you know, find a deeper connection with. And I've always wanted to have a family. I wanted to have children. I'm scared of children, but I wanted to have children. But I knew it was important to find the right person who accepts me for who I am, right? So I think when I first met you, we were just friends, which is really nice. And I feel like we
had no expectations of each other.
We had no expectations. I'm not sure if you're like the type in my dreams. First of all, you're not a doctor. Second of all, you're dark and bald. But we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun talking and just being silly and stupid. And then we, of course, there were some attractions as well too. And then when we started realizing that we were going to, you know, be dating each other, I guess there was no expectations either, right? Mind you, as a female coming, you know, from the way my mom raised me, whoever I'm dating, I also think about, like, I'm not wanting to just play the field, but I want to get to the next level. So I know for the first couple of years we were dating, I realized that if I'm putting all the effort into, you know, building this relationship,
you want some reward.
I want
See?
I I want something
knew
out
it.
of it.
Yeah.
Mind you, there were times when I'm doubted too. I'm like, I don't know if this is the guy for me. Like, because being married to someone means being committed for the rest of your life. It's a big decision.
Yeah, till death do us part and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh. How about you? Did
Well,
you feel that way too?
so let me go backtrack. I had a different experience because I mean, your parents were part of that, part of your sort of exposure to people who loved each other, who decided that they no longer loved each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With me, I grew up around my parents who were always, they were like sort of like a perfect
That's right.
couple
Yeah.
and
That's
role models when it comes to marriage.
Yeah.
And I feel like they still are. You know, they still argue and disagree on certain things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they you know, they love each other, they're patient with each other, they understand each other and stuff like that. When I was young and dating though, I was really into sports. So I got into, at a young age, I was into baseball, and then I got into swimming, and then I found, you know, a real big passion for basketball, and I played football and stuff like that. But mainly basketball and swimming was where I spent the majority of my time, and because of those sports, well, basketball got me a lot of attention, you know, outside of during school and stuff like that. I would literally ride my bike after school our school would get off, I think about half an hour before every other school for some strange reason. And I was in a small school, so I didn't have much competition there, so I would ride my bike around to all the local schools and I would challenge them, the guys in basketball. And that got me a lot of attention. In swimming, on the other hand, I was a very strong swimmer. So in the pool and around the swimming community, at a very young age, I found a lot of success and I became a very decorated swimmer. And that gave me a lot of attention. And I don't want to compare myself to these professional athletes, but to a small, to a younger and to a small scale,
yeah,
I can kind of understand that, like, what some of these professional athletes go through, because it gives you a lot of, it brought me a lot of female attention. So because of that, I grew up very sort of, I was not loyal in relationships.
You don't have to work hard for it either.
And I didn't have to work hard for it. And so I didn't appreciate it. And so it was just, well, if it doesn't work out with this girl, there's this girl that's knocking at my door. If it doesn't work out with this girl is, if it doesn't work with this girl at school, well, I got this girl at swimming. And, if it doesn't work out with this girl at the school or this girl at swimming, well, I just met a bunch of girls from this, school that's close by my house that, that don't know anybody that I go to school with. So, those things came very easy. But because of that, I also developed I was a very jealous and insecure. I was very cocky and I was a little bit confident in myself, but I was very jealous and very, very insecure. I remember
so let's backtrack. So
Sure.
You were very confident in getting girls, but you became insecure and jealous because you know what could possibly happen because you're the one who's doing all of that?
Yeah, well, I think it was a little bit of I had a lot of sort of personal development that I needed to go through. I was insecure in that I always looked at it. It was just like I was always just like, well, I'm a good looking guy, but I'm not, I'm not the Hong Kong, action star with,
Gotcha.
Long flowy hair and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, and then I think because things came so easily with with females, I always thought like the things that it would be so very easy for me to move on. I always thought that, if I can move on that easily, then
They can too.
yeah.
But you know what else I'm thinking too is probably your ego when we're young.
For sure.
Because
Yeah.
we don't know how to tame our ego yet. We didn't even know about our ego back when we were young. So part of what hurts you would be the fact that you assume you're this way. And if someone cheats on you or leave you, it's part of your ego that gets hurt as well too. Actually, talking about ego, I feel that might play a part in my breakup too, is because maybe I think I'm a great catch. I'm a great girlfriend. Why would this person do this to me? And so instead of versus trying to understand like, hey, this happened, like things like this happen, but it's our ego. Yeah. So
Well, I was because of the like how relationships worked out for me. It was because things came so easily. I grew up to be very sort of entitled in relationships. Like things would set me off so easily, and naturally because I'm a competitive person too. So little things would set me off.
Gotcha.
Very very easily.
Okay.
And I think what started to happen was because I would drive my girlfriends crazy, they would sort of do the same thing to me. They would drive me nuts. And so by the time I was in college, it was like I didn't trust girls. And they would just infuriate me. Like they would just like there was always something that would just like upset me, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was my insecurities, and I would get jealous about other guys and stuff like that.
Oh, I never saw that in you.
No. I think because what happened was I spent a lot of time sort of being single. I would date a lot, but I would never get into
a serious relationship.
My last serious relationship before you was in high school. So I spent years of college and after college, not too many years, but a lot of time just, I wasn't in any serious relationships or committed relationships.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're the fish that I caught?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because we started off our relationship with not having these crazy expectations or like these things, but then like I said, we kind of were friends at first and then we got to know each other. And what I appreciate about you back then was that it seems like, there are things about you that I was not happy because I was expecting you to kind of be a certain way more. And that's all just certain images in my head that I wanted for you to mold into. But the part that I do and like about you is the fact that you allow me to be me. So you weren't trying to change me or trying to say, okay, you should not hang out with this person, you shouldn't do this. You're just kind of like easygoing and kind of like, okay, you do you and I do me, which is kind of refreshing because I know in a lot of relationships, people try to mold each other, right? And I don't know, do you feel the same way about me to you, or do you feel I try to mold you?
Yeah, you're constantly trying to mold. I'm still not going to be a doctor. And I can't.
No,
I can't grow hair.
Seriously.
Well,
back in the days when we first met.
I guess. No. When we first met, and like that, the molding didn't start until we got married.
Okay, so when we were dating, it was fine. Yeah. Everything was, so that's what you felt. You felt like you were open to being who you were.
I think I was definitely very open to being who I was, and I think honestly that like, I'm half joking about the molding, half joking about the molding stuff, but I think what starts to happen is once you get married, you are not. Yeah, I mean, it's important to be your own individual, but
Yeah.
you share everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I would be naive to think that you can always just do your like I can always just do what I want to do all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not the case. Like we still have two children, we share a home, we share cars, and we, you know, everything in our everyday lives is being shared. So there has to be some sort of
understanding,
but there also has to be a little bit of a difference in our opinions.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, and the important thing is obviously that at the end of the day, we know that there's going to be a difference in our opinions, and that, you know, no matter what, we have to come to some sort of an understanding with each other.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, you know.
And you know what? For me, I think about is that after we are married, we have expectations, but the one thing that I have to look back in terms of like our love relationship is that individually, I feel what helped our relationship is that not that it's perfect, it's far from perfect. We're constantly fighting, disagreeing, but there's something about the fact that we allow ourselves to develop and to grow individually in ways that we can come back to work on the things that weren't working.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like I kind of acknowledge that maybe I am a little bit this way and that way. And maybe I need, let's say, to work with a coach. Maybe I need to read. Maybe I need to participate in certain programs that allows me to reflect more, because I feel we're like mirrors to each other, meaning when something is going on deep inside of me that I'm not happy, I project it out to you. Mm-hmm. I project it out to the children. And this is what happens, I feel, in marriage. It's who our closest person is our spouse or our partner. And so when we are not happy with something inside, we eventually have to let it out. And then we let it out and it hits the person closest to us and it hurts them most. Yeah. And if they don't understand, or they themselves don't have the tools or are not equipped to handle that, it's very hard. So it's kind of like I say things I don't mean, and then you take it personally, and then you say things back you don't mean, and then it starts escalating. Yeah. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Versus us kind of like taking a step back and say, you know what? I just said that, but was that really right? Like, we need time to reflect. We need time to do this. And I do reflection my own way. I guess you do reflection your own way. It's just we kind of allow each other to do that so that we can learn more about ourselves. And when we learn more about ourselves, we realize that we're not perfect. Right? And so I feel love to me is really, we're all born, like I feel like every child was born with a lot of love. And most yeah. I think everyone. Why you say most?
Oh, wow.
Well, it depends on the family they're raised in. But by themselves, as an individual, they are full of love. Now, the environment that they're raised in and the way that they're nurtured really can either take that. It's kind of like it's trapped, that love. It's there still. It's just not able to let it out in a healthy way, right? But if it's nurtured, it exudes its light in a healthy way. However, we go through life, we get burned, we get hurt, things happen to us. But the things that happen to us sometimes happen because the people around us have not learned how to love themselves or how to love others, because we're interconnected as a world. And when we're bumping into all these different type of individuals, they do rub off certain ways of being, beliefs and things like that on us. And if we don't protect ourselves, then what happens is we don't realize that with the way we interpret love, we take it a little bit from our parents, we take it a little bit from our friends, we take a little bit from the world, we take it from media, we take it from movies that we watch. But if we're not aware of these impact, what's going to happen is we kind of like become those people without knowing it. And because of that, you get into these arguments and you get into these kind of conversations where if you actually reflect back and you sit down and you said, was that really bad? Like we just argue about something, but was that really the end of the world? Right? And if you did something that I didn't agree, or I did something you didn't agree, we can always take a look and say, was that really so terrible that I cannot be with this person anymore? Then what? Will there be someone else better for me out there? For me, I feel like it's going to be starting over again, the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So love is really just something you constantly put out. You just put out and you learn to have compassion, and eventually it kind of like, because you keep on putting out love, but you also have to set boundaries to protect yourself too. You're not just going to keep out love and give people stripping it off and you're going to be like left with nothing. But it's okay to give out love and be smart about it and give yourself love. And I feel like eventually your partner will figure themselves out and then they will do the same too.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel. What are your thoughts?
That was some deep stuff.
You know me. I like to talk about these deep stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. No, that was good. That was a good analogy of our working relationship, and I think that you definitely have to. It comes down to knowing yourself and being comfortable in your own skin and self-love, and those are sort of the foundation of being a good partner.
Yeah, because there are points when in our relationship when we keep on arguing, but I feel that was either because you were not happy with yourself or I was not happy with myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much that we were just unhappy of each other. It wasn't because I was thrilled, excited, and I feel vibrant and I'm this being, but you're not.
Yeah.
It was because something was not going well with me.
Yeah.
And then I'm having a problem with you.
Yeah.
And then vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so see, we can agree to that. It wasn't because we were fully vibrant and this person just not jiving with, right? Because I feel like we would have sensed that from the first day that we met. But we met and we fell in love and we got married for a reason. So we just sometimes have to find that out. And so, yeah. Well, anyways, I feel like we've been talking now for almost an hour, actually. So we're wrapping things up. I mean, this love topic is a very deep topic, but I think it's also important that if you're in a marriage relation or you're in a relationship, that it's important that you talk about these kind of things, and it's okay to disagree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Well, marriage and love is like, I mean, I can't say it's all about longevity. I think marriage is.
Yeah.
Love can be long term, and it can also be, you can experience love in a short period of time as well. But at the end of the day, a strong marriage is it's like a marathon, and you're no matter if you decide that, if we were to decide one day that marriage was not for us, to do it again, we're just going to face the same obstacles and the same challenges. It's just the partner would be a different person, potentially, right?
And now you're taking a lottery on how they will react to the same thing that you're going to try to work on. Versus working with someone where you kind of know, hopefully already 70-80% what makes that person tick, what makes that person happy, and you kind of navigate. So you're playing a game where you kind of know the landscape, versus now you're venturing into a new territory.
But mind you, if you're playing the game and you're doing a race or a marathon, and you're facing all these obstacles, there are certain challenges that you can accomplish easier with somebody who you have better chemistry with.
That is true.
It does play a factor, I think, right? It does play a little bit of a factor because, like, you can you know, you look at all these game shows now and stuff like that, and a lot of the times it's who's leading at the time and how you work as a, you know, in a partnership.
That's right. So I guess eventually, if you spend enough time with a partner, you should know whether there is a chemistry or not.
Yeah.
And if you sense strongly that, you know, things are not going to work out no matter what, and then this is really, if you feel it in you, then it's okay. I mean, it's okay to still just be friends. It's okay to go your separate ways and end things amicably, and it's still okay. But I guess, you know what, I'm always one to, I mean, people can challenge me on that. I'm always one to kind of like, let's really work on it until there's no other options.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just about like, I feel there's always solutions. We're human. We figure things out unless we're terrible being. But I feel like I would have a good, like I feel like I have some type of a sense already that when I met the person, I mean, I met you when I was 27. It wasn't like I was so young. I should have already known. And if these red flags were not so big, it's fine. But I mean, if I had to deal with internal turmoil and things like that, and there were so many red flags, but I ignored them all and I still end up with you, then that's a different story. As I work through it, I'm a better being. Those red flags are still there. Maybe it's time to finish. It's time to go our separate ways. But it wasn't like that for us, right? And so I mean, it really depends on the situation. But we hope you enjoy us taking a deep dive back into how we first met and just having this conversation about love. And I feel if you're, you know, in a relationship or in a marriage that you truly want to work it out with your partner, it's really important to continue to have these conversations. You don't have to talk about it so publicly like we do in a podcast. But mind you, we only are willing to talk about it now because we spend years working on it already. Right? I'm sure if it was a fresh issue, we wouldn't be on here sharing candidly.
I'm sharing candidly, but I'm leaving out a lot of the details. Not by accident.
Of course, but I feel that it's easier to talk about things once you work through them. I'm sure there will be new challenges that will come our way, but it's about us being excited about working together with them, through them together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you
Next week.
Yes. See you next week.